Good Thursday morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for the next 7 days and beyond. Our fire potential impacts for today, mainly wet thunderstorms with a mix of wet and dry in the outer periphery across central Nevada and Utah. This will be the main focus because as it shifts northwards on Friday, there could be some drier strikes further north. It is, however, on Saturday that we see the biggest threat to portions of the Great Basin across far northwest Nevada, northern Nevada, and into southern Idaho as well, as they've been drying out. Lightning there, drier, and those are areas that have not received much precipitation in the past week or so. In the past 24 hours, another good round of precipitation all across Utah, Wyoming, and the southern half, especially the southern third of Nevada. A lot of areas, this is their 5th, 6th, or 7th day in a row of getting wetting rains. See the lightning out here, most concentrated in those wetter areas to the south, but it's this outer periphery stuff that we see out here that has the best chance of popping up with any dry days in the coming days. Our activity has been initial attack light to moderate. You can see new fire starts in the red, existing fires in the yellow, large fires in the open purple circles. Observed precipitation over the past 7 days. You can see wettest across the higher terrain, the spine of the Wasatch, and into the central and southern mountains of Utah. The green indicates a ½ to an inch of rainfall. Some donut holes in between, and those dry areas could see some holdovers as any adjacent lightning pops up during some of our drier days. You can see percent of normal. Driest area now focusing in on northwest Nevada and southern Idaho. You can see that on the ERCs. We've modified quite a bit across southern Nevada and the Arizona Strip, far southwest Utah. A lot of these were purple circles being the 97th percentile. These percentiles have dropped down into the 80th percentile in most areas to near 90. But it's these areas here that have been steadily drying out. And this only tells part of the story. The 100-hour fuels, which is probably a better correlator with fire spread in lighter brush and grass, indicates that across southern Idaho, below normal to near record levels of 100-hour fuels. Same thing here in northwest Nevada. Some of our PSAs are reporting well below normal to near record dry level 100-hour fuels. So ignitions out in those areas, especially with a little bit of wind, could run a bit. Infrared satellite imagery shows the cloud cover across the Arizona Strip into a good portion of Utah, kind of making a Y, some of it branching off into Utah, the other pushing into Nevada, and it's going to be a northwestwards push that we'll be watching the next couple of days for thunderstorms. The question is, how far north will they extend? And we actually look at another satellite imagery, the water vapor imagery, which detects moisture in the air, invisible to the naked eye. You can see the deep subtropical push of moisture with the monsoon across the southern half of Nevada, but notice this dryish copper color. A very dry push of mid-level atmospheric air into northern Nevada will limit the northern extent of thunderstorm activity, at least for the next 36 hours or so. So our maps for later today, here is that drier air pushing into northern Nevada, and there's that moisture pushing up through Utah and starting to come up through southern and central Nevada, and this will probably run Highway 50 will be the borderline in terms of how far north they go. So we could see some isolated strikes. PSAs here have moistened up, so we don't have high risk yet because in our drier fuels, thunderstorms will have a tough time penetrating to that zone just yet. You can see that with the precipitation, how far north it gets. And again, heavier stuff down here, and not too far off from Cedar City and the West Valley fire. You could see some localized amounts of over an inch of precipitation. Winds overall fairly light in the vicinity of the Martin fire, kind of a north-northwest wind, 5 to 15 miles per hour. A little bit stronger push out of the northwest across southern Idaho. A lot of these bright colors you see here are thunderstorm outflow boundaries. That will continue to pose a problem on some existing fires. Brief afternoon gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour in the vicinity of thunderstorms. On Friday, there's that moisture lingering a little bit here. This grayish shade busting up towards Reno could indicate a slightly further northward push. Most of that actually goes into northern California, where they do have high risk, into southern Oregon. We will hold off on high risk for now, but we cannot rule out a few isolated strikes on the drier side between Highway 50 and Highway 80, just along the Sierra front. There's the extent of precipitation through here, most of it to the south, having a tough time penetrating that dry air, but a few pin drops around here, and we can't rule out some activity moving a bit further north. Wind still fairly light out of the northwest across Nevada and most of Utah, and again, thunderstorm outflow boundaries prevalent in southern areas. Now on Saturday, things do change a little bit. Some of that moisture is hard to see on this map here, but it starts swinging back northwestwards. You push here a little bit higher moisture, but overall, this actually could be a bit worse. We could see some isolated scattered lightning across northwestern Nevada, sliding into parts of southwestern Idaho, also shown here across southern Oregon from the Pacific Northwest. And there's a precipitation now starting to infiltrate northwest Nevada. See some more streaks through here. And we don't see pin drops here yet, but this could occur later on in the evening hours on Saturday. Winds fairly light, but still a little bit gusty out of the northwest across southern Idaho into northern Utah. Through-day precipitation totals quite wet across the southern half of Nevada. This will set fuels back quite a bit. These dark greens and blues are quarter-inch to half-inch amounts. Continued wetness across the higher terrain of southern and central Utah, as well as the Arizona Strip, really starts moistening up. Drier further north. Further down the road on Sunday, we do see drier air starting to push in, a little weak trough of low pressure here, maybe breezy conditions. So we'll monitor that. But a lot of the moisture gets pushed off to the east and to the south. And then on Monday, same story, some drier air pushing in through here. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we really don't see a real consolidated large area of monsoonal moisture. Bits and pieces here and there, but by and large will start drying out. Fuels have moistened up quite a bit, but with the dryness, sunshine, and above normal temperatures, we could see initial attack picking up with holdovers slowly popping up, not spreading too fast in these yellow areas, but popping up nonetheless as we go into the middle of next week. 7-day total precipitation shows basically what happened in the first 3 days. That's when the bulk of it occurred. And the 8 to 14-day outlook shows an above normal temperature signal across the Great Basin, especially the western half, and above normal precipitation with the monsoon, a bit stronger push into southern and central Nevada during the July 19th to 25th time period. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.